Okay, is it always anxiety? What keeps me up at night? Is it always anxiety? Hi, my name's Steve, and welcome to Awake with Steve, where I talk about things that keep me up at night, anxieties that bother me, what wakes me up in the middle of the night. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that here. I'm going to spread out the topics a little bit broader now because it's initially I was always anxiety. I'm worrying about this, I'm worrying about that. But there's a part of my brain also that works on solutions. What's the solution to this problem? And those can be interesting enough, fun enough to work with that they keep me awake at night or wake me up in the middle of the night. And just kind of toying with it, looking at it from different angles. Is this going to work? What are the problems with it? It kind of gets, interesting in its own right. So I'm going to kind of broaden the topic a little bit. A few episodes ago, I did a little blurb on fantastical economies. Kind of like to revisit that and kind of look at how I've been looking at it. And how I got to the point where I was when I made that video. Okay, it originally started with the whole idea of universal basic income, right? Everybody gets a minimum amount. And originally I thought, okay, yeah, just enough to pay for the basic needs, basic housing, basic food, basic everything. And I kept toying with it. Well, what about, how do you keep people interested in challenging jobs? How do you keep trash collectors, for instance, on the job if they can just sit home and play video games? And so I kind of thought about that for a while and kept thinking about all the different aspects in society. And I got around to one major stumbling block, and that is human nature. There's always seems to be people around who want to take advantage of other people. It's not that they need to. It's just they like doing it. They're driven to it. There are groups that form that think their ideas are so unique and so wonderful that everybody should think like they do, have their ideologies. And sometimes they believe in force as a justifiable means of converting people. So there's something about human nature that needs to be dealt with if we want to do anything like that. And then the more I thought about it, especially keeping the trash collectors busy, and we'll get back to the human nature thing in a little bit, but keeping trash collectors on the job or other more challenging jobs that are, they're not really fun. You do them because you make money and you can buy food with it, basically. That kind of got me into, trash collection. A lot of that could be automated. And in fact, I look at their trash collectors now, and on the pickup side, we've got a guy driving a truck. Pretty soon, AI is going to drive trucks. We won't have to worry about keeping those trash collectors running. You've got different kinds of pickups, you may have to pick up some things other than the bins in which the trash is put. Yeah, okay, that can be automated also. And on the other side, sorting through it, that can be automated. So we can actually automate a lot of those jobs that are more challenging, less desirable, the dirty, grimy jobs that nobody really likes doing, but they need a job, so they take it. And that got me to thinking about AI and robots. It's a lot in the news now these days. Hey, we got robots, they can dance, they can do flips. They look, androidish, kind of like people. They got 2 arms, 2 legs. They can move, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. They can dance. They can do everything a human being can do physically. Now we just got to build the AI intelligence into them so that they can actually do anything people can do. And once we get to that point, they'll be able to duplicate themselves, make more of themselves. The only question is, how do you power them? Well, electricity is the obvious answer. That's the way it's being done now, batteries. So really the only cost to being able to build them at some point, because they can do anything a human being can do. They can replace everything in the human being, in a human's. They can do anything in their supply chain that a human can do. So the only cost for making them is the cost of energy, the cost to build themselves and to keep them running, which is electricity. And if you look at the cost of electricity, now I'm talking about the cost of generating electricity, not what people are paying at home, because that's still regulated by government-sanctioned monopolies in most cases. And in the cases where it's not, people are being taken advantage of, in my mind. They're getting charged too much for a not so good system. So we can build all of the robots. They can do anything humans can do, and they can do everything that humans can do. So everything that human beings consume can be made by robots. So that means the only costs associated with any of this is the power to keep those robots going. And the cost of power, the cost to create power, create electricity, generate it, is going down. Solar cells, classic example. Back in the 70s and 80s, it cost what, $3, $4, $5 a kilowatt hour for electricity generated by solar cells, photovoltaics. Yes, I used to be able to speak English too. Now, the cost of that electricity is down around 2 or 3 cents a kilowatt hour. Maybe a little bit more in the United States because the labor costs for installation are higher. But, and the costs are increasingly decreasing. So recent reports talk about cost of photovoltaics from China being dropped in half. Okay, that takes essentially the price of electricity generated by solar cells almost in half also. So that's one of the big expenses. The biggest expense for solar cells is actually the installation. And this is true about a lot of renewable resources that are used to generate power. It's not the cost over the lifetime of generating power, as in with coal plants or gas plants. You need to fuel them. So you buy for fuel every month, every week, every day. You have to pay for some coal, for some oil, some gas, natural gas. With renewable resources, a lot of the cost is up front. I mean, Tony Seba has some good numbers on that. So it's expensive to get started, but once it's started, the cost of continued operation is very small and dropping. So if we've got robots to install it, robots to build the distribution system, the cost of electricity could actually approach zero. So the power to power all of the AI robots who are building everything else that we as human beings want drops to zero. So that gets us back to even something better than universal basic income, because there's nobody left to pay the bill. The bill's already been paid in constructing the low-cost electrical systems and in constructing the original generation of robots. so we get everything free, essentially. The problem, once again, gets into who we are as human beings. We're still going to run into people who want to take advantage of other people. We're still going to run into groups that think they've got the best idea in the world, and everybody else should think that too. But we've taken away one of the problems that I foresaw with universal basic income, and that is if a person is swindled out of their monthly stipend, say, what happens to them? They don't have anything they don't have their universal basic income. So we still need some sort of a support system for these people. But if everything is free, that's not necessary. We've taken away that factor. And that kind of takes away the urgency of survival, basically, and allows us other mechanisms to deal with swindlers, con artists, etc., and so forth, fanatic religious organizations. We have tools to work with those issues in our legal system. So, I don't know what's wrong with this thought process I'm going through. The biggest issue I see is people. I think there are issues along the way, but they can all be dealt with. Even more interesting, how do you define an economy in this type of system? Because the robots can generate far more than humans can consume. So how do we put limits on that? How do we manage an economy like this? And where I go quickly with that is, AI can do that. And then the question comes, what happens with super AI when we get this intelligence that's so far above us, so much smarter, so much faster, that we really don't matter to it anymore? And human beings, being what we are, well, they're going to destroy us. They will consume us. They will wipe us out or take control of us or something. What happens if it gets so far out it doesn't matter about us anymore? It's the idea of keeping us alive and functioning is not a major thought, as it's not in their thoughts. It's kind of like an offhanded thing we do just automatically. Don't know. What do you guys think? What's the upside? What's the downside? What am I missing? So until next time, we'll leave you with that. Have fun. Bye.